Good morning. Today is the 27th of August 2026 and I'm going to go over my pre-market prep as normal. Before we start, let's see what news could move the market today. We did have medium volatility coming at 8:30. Did see a bit of a reaction to that. That is unemployment claims. We have natural gas at 10:30, so if you trade gas and oil, just be wary of that. And at 12:15 we have Jackson Hole, so just be wary of 12:15 if you're trading still at that point. That's in 3 hours, so plenty of time. I was actually just looking at the order flow a few minutes ago, and I can see a slight divergence here. We've got price putting in lower lows, Delta putting in higher highs, and it kind of went sideways. I was kind of watching this area for a breakout. It looks like it might be happening, not sure exactly. It hasn't really done much really, but just something I was just watching. You know, I like to see where these breakouts happen. But anyway, I'm going to go straight into the levels for today. Good morning, Craig. How are you? It's going good, thank you. I made a couple of little fine-tune adjustments to my strategy last night. I've not enabled. I'm going to, while it's on my mind, let me go back into my NinjaTrader. And I need to properly back test it, and I need to export all my trades out of what do you call it? I've already got it set 20, 40, 80. So that's what I'm targeting. That's fine. And 10, 20, 20, and I'm looking to go break even. I'll fine tune that later. Right, so that's that anyway. Anyway, let's get some levels for today and some pre-market prep. If you're on the premium Discord, you see I've already put some levels in already. We've got a little bit of movement today. I think Nvidia, I had a quick look at Nvidia earlier. They had a massive big push back up. Didn't look at their news. I'm not really interested in what other stocks are doing, but you can see big green bar, a couple of them in the post market. And then we're kind of giving a little bit back. One thing to note on Nvidia, and it's something I noticed, we haven't really taken out previous pivots. Let's go back to the daily. So look at this. If I draw the trend line in from the top of there, we kind of just it looked a bit better when I drew it earlier. I was kind of just drawing it. We're kind of holding that trend line. We haven't really taken anything out. This is the daily chart on Nvidia. Didn't take out that pivot there. We haven't really taken out anything major, so I'm not overly fussed. But I just like to see what's going on. I'm not even sure what their earnings were. Better than expected. Anyway, I don't really care about the other stocks. Let's just go back down into ES. It's always nice to see anything that could move the market. That's why I talk about the news as well, because news can potentially move the market, and so it's always worth keeping an eye on things like this. So this is let's go into the daily. What's it say? Thursday. Let's start off with the weekly. Not a great deal going on. We've got today and tomorrow left at half the volume of last week. That's last week's candle. This is this week's candle. We're pretty much undecided. We're holding that area there. I'm waiting for a potential break back down into that area for a bounce on the weekly. RSI is up there again. We are pretty extended from the 50. As you know, we talk about this every day. Look where that next volume shelf is, right through the middle of this. 7,500, that zone there. If we do pull back, we might see a little bit of a bounce there. And look what could be setting up. Again, we talk about this in advance. If we do pull back and we see a bit of a bounce, look at this, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, maybe that's the neckline, 7,300. We don't know. We only just like to see what's happening, what could happen in the future. We can plan a little bit ahead. Dropping down to the daily, that's what I'm really interested in at the moment. Yesterday's candle, below average, small, same range, so it hasn't really done anything. We're sat inside that range yesterday. Today it's a bit exciting. I say a bit exciting. We actually broke out that daily range, but we are still inside that weekly range. So it's really tough. We're coming into resistance above. There is a volume shelf above as well, around 77.70 area. Just be wary of that. And then we've got a volume shelf below sitting at 76.86, 86.90. I'm surprised there's no volume shelf at that psychological on 77,000, but I'll be watching 77,000 today for a reaction. We can pretty much see where it is on here without actually looking at the number. It's around about there because we were rejecting it. Well, we bounced from it. then we rejected it, and then we broke through with that NVIDIA earnings call yesterday. So I'm looking for a reaction back down at 77,000. Volume is below average, so I'm not expecting a great deal at the moment. We're not seeing that igniting volume. If we have a big green bar today and we have a big green volume bar that follows, then maybe we might be putting in retesting all-time highs again. But until we see that, I'm going to be relatively neutral in this area. We do have that volume shelf to the left, tops of these pivots here as well, and we have bottoms of pivots here. So we can still keep watching this area for reactions. I like to think history repeats itself in the market, so if we come back down, retest the bottom, I'll be looking for longs, and 7700 as an area of interest. Dropping down to the hourly, this is where we get our levels from. Are we looking at an inverse head and shoulders pattern? We talked about this yesterday briefly. 7700, key psychological number, pivot, 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 and this is the break and retest of that neckline. I'm not the biggest fan of this head and shoulders pattern. You know, it is at the end of a downtrend potentially. We are putting in higher lows as well. We have broken out as well, so there's a lot of reasons why it could be a good long. I really want to see it come back down and retest yesterday's high for a bounce, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. But we are above the 50. We've been straddling this 50 for some days now, and now we've finally got above it. So if we come back down and retest 7700, not only is it a psychological number, it's an area of confidence we're watching, and it's also yesterday's high where we broke through near the end of the day. So I'm watching that area for potential reaction. So that's my key area today. A bit like yesterday, I wasn't interested in longs into 7700, and I took a nice little short. Had I waited for the next retest of 7700, I would have taken a brilliant little short, but I didn't. I took my little piece of the market, that little tiny nugget of market profit at the top there. The same, I'm not interested in going short into 7700 down here. I'll be looking for a bounce in that area unless we break through and then retest and show weakness. So for me, 7700 is a key area. It's a zone I'm watching as well. Like yesterday, I didn't go short directly into 7700. It's slightly below 76.98 or 96, that area within the zone. Took a nice trade out of it, but if I waited for the next retest of 7700, it was that beautiful, nice sell-off we had. But so today I'm watching that zone as well. We can keep an eye on that bottom pivot in the pre-market, Asian market. So just coming up with proper levels then, I'm looking for a bounce at 7700, all the way down to 77, yeah, that area, all the way down to that 50 moving average, I think. Then I like yesterday's high for a bounce at 7706, so that's the zone I'm watching, basically this lower zone. If we can get above that VWAP and also above these topping tails, then I'll be looking for maybe an ORB long into pre-market high. Otherwise, I'll be watching for an ORB short under pre-market low into yesterday's high. Really need to make sure there's enough reward to get down to at least yesterday's high. We normally watch yesterday's high and yesterday's low for break and retest long, going with the trend. That's why we look at a bounce at yesterday's high, or a break and retest at yesterday's low, because we want to go with a downtrend. We're not really in a sideways trend, so I'm not a big fan of that. But I will be watching this area again for a bounce. It's done pretty well for the last 3 or 4 days. We bounced. We put in these topping tails on Thursday last week. Monday I said keep an eye on those bottom tails for a reaction, and we got that reaction 1, 2, 3, 4 times. We had another reaction again on Tuesday, and that was a beautiful bounce as well. And we came close into that area on yesterday as well, 67.60. So I'm watching yesterday's low, 67.70 down to 76.70 down to 76.60 for a bounce if we get down in that area. That's only if I'm still trading, if it gets down there. I think that's pretty much it, pretty straightforward. I do like the long. We are starting to bounce right now. Don't really like going long into these bottom tails. It is pre-market, but we have got a bit of volume in that pre-market as well. RSI is neutral on this hourly chart as well, so I'm pretty neutral as well. Yesterday I had a slight bearish, neutral to bearish direction, but today I'm going to be neutral to bullish if we can get down here for the bounce. So that's my stance for today. I think that's it really, nothing else really of interest. If we do break out over pre-market high, I do like the break and retest long, and we can keep an eye on this big volume shelf. Look at that big area of confidence, 7780 area for a potential reaction all the way up to that 7800. Psychological numbers below, we've obviously got 77. 76 is way down here. We haven't tested that for a while. Little volume shelf, so I'm not too worried. And that's it. Really simple trading today. Kept it simple yesterday, and I'm not going to rush in. It's still a tricky market. We are inside, even though we're out of that little daily range here, we are still inside this weekly range. Makes it a tough trade, and right inside these volume shelves. Big volume shelf there where we rejected in post market. Big volume shelf up here we haven't got anywhere near to yet. We did break and retest that area. That's why we look at volume shelves. Look at that. I'll just draw a better rectangle. This is the volume shelf. We've been holding that area of confidence, and then we put in that channel there. As soon as we broke it, it came back in. That's why we always keep an eye on volume shelves. It could act as overhead resistance or support below. So look how it rejected, it came back down. We've been holding this volume shelf for the last few days. That's why I like a bounce back down in that area. That's it really for ES. Dropping down to SPY or SPY, pretty much the same as ES. If we can break over pre-market high, I like it long into this big volume shelf point of control area pivot. So we've got a little bit of movement up to 772. If we lose pre-market low, we have got yesterday's high below as well, so it's been a tough long into that. Not a big fan going short into yesterday's high, but we can watch for a bounce in that area. If we do lose yesterday's low, look for a break and retest short. And then we obviously got all this liquidity down at 764 to 763 for a bounce. SPX. Looking at psychological numbers first, we are going to be breaking out. So we're going to be just above yesterday's high, which obviously this is yesterday's chart, so it'll be marked on this chart as today's high. So we'll be coming into that 7700 area, that zone there. So keep an eye on SPX when the market opens to see where it opens. I'm expecting it to be just below 7700. So if we are below that area, it's going to be a tough long. So we're looking for a bounce on ES. We really want to see S&P SPX come right back down in that 7690 area for a long into 77. We can watch that as the first target. That's pretty much all I'm watching. You can draw a trend line here, taking the bodies of the candles. You can do another one on the tail, on the top and bottom tails. Keep an eye on a bounce off that trend line. We seem to be holding it for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Otherwise, a break over yesterday's high long into 77 is an area to watch. Nasdaq next. Nasdaq's putting in this nice little flag pattern. We haven't yet come back down to retest. We retested that previous day's pivot. So keep an eye on this 50 moving average breaking out of yesterday's high and a bounce of yesterday's high. I like that long 29,400 down to 29,300. This is a zone to watch for today. If we can get over pre-market high 29,700, I like that long. We got 29,800, 29,900 and 30,000 psychological numbers to watch for. And that's pretty much it. Opening ranges maybe below pre-market low and above pre-market high if they set up. We are currently above the 50 now, and we are just above that 200 now. So looks more bullish and bearish. ES, we are above the 50, but we're holding on just below that 200. So that's why I'm not a big fan going long just yet, unless we pull right down. But if we get over these topping tails and bottom tails, we can probably look for an opening range breakout into that pre-market high area. QQQ. I can see that massive big volume shelf sitting here, and we're right in that, and we're just below it. So no longs into that area unless we break pre-market high long into a breakout long. Otherwise, we can hold. Look at that trend line. Let's look for a bounce off yesterday's high, 712, 713 long. Again, are we looking at an inverse head and shoulders pattern? Slight area, slight neckline there. A pull back into yesterday's high will be a break and retest of that neckline. Next up is oil. Not doing a great deal, not really too interested in this chart at the moment. We're smack bang inside yesterday's range, this range here. For me, if we can get back down into these trend line areas or back up to that trend line, I might be watching for a reaction. A breakout over yesterday's high and a retest of pre-market high. Long, which is above this volume shelf and above this area of confidence, is probably the only trade I like. Neutral today. We are below the 200 and we're just slightly above the 50. Otherwise, if we come back down into pre-market low, yesterday's low, maybe watch that area for a bounce, but not a big fan of this at the moment. I want to see it doing something. Gold next. We still got 10 minutes to go before the market opens. Do you remember I said we might be putting in a top? That was back on Monday. Kind of like a double top or a head and shoulders pattern. A left shoulder, potentially we want a left shoulder to be left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Our neckline clearly defined. And look at this. Not only did we break it yesterday, came back and retested the neckline and then broke down short, we've got an air gap. Remember I say I like looking for air gaps? These are basically, if we're looking for break and retest, an air gap is that space from the neckline where the candles drive down, come back up, retest, putting in that air gap and then selling off. So if you're looking for continuation, then I think under yesterday's low, we're getting close to that, short. We can keep an eye on 4,600. I like gold a lot today for a short. If we break pre-market high, we're getting above VWAP, we're getting above pre-market high as well. So maybe long into yesterday's high. Drawing in a trend line, I'll do the bodies of candles roughly there. Yesterday's high, we could watch that area for rejection. 46.78, 46.80 area. Big area of confidence, that's that neckline as well. And that will be putting us in that downtrend region. So I like that for a rejection around 46.80 area. Or under pre-market low, yesterday's low, break and retest short, back down into 4,600. So even though we are in an uptrend, we've got to honour the fact it's in an uptrend. Look at that, we've got a big trend line there. Depends where you want to draw your trend line. That's another trend line there. Got that trend line there as well. So for me, we are breaking this trend line. We're holding this pivot as well. So we're still in an uptrend unless we come back and retest. We're still on the upper side of these trend lines, so still bullish, but we are keeping an eye on a bit of trend continuation in the last few hours. If we do pull down, 4,600 is a bounce area. Otherwise, that's that. Below, we've got a volume shelf sitting at 45.50, and then we've got another volume shelf sitting down here. This is an area I like for a bounce here, and I like that because we've already retested it. Rejected, 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 broke out, retested. So that's why I like it coming back down into that zone. 44.63 for a bounce. That's potentially a swing play or something later. Looking at the comments. Good morning to Mo. Welcome back. Appreciate you tuning in. Oh, this is nice. The Russell 2000. So what do we see? We see a trend line. Let's just draw some lines in. We see this trend line there. Look at that, beautifully holding that trend line. And we see a trend line here. Oh, hang on, wrong button. And a big area of confidence. I'm going to draw it in. Tops of pivots, bottoms of pivots, bottoms of pivots. Again, it's a zone. Don't forget, we're looking at the zone. So for me, I'm waiting for a reaction either side of these trend lines. A break and retest of 3,000 short. Notice 3,000 is a big psychological number. You can potentially watch for a bounce. Remember I say I like history repeating itself. A bounce, a bounce, a bounce, a bounce. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to show you one more trend line we could potentially keep an eye on as well. That one there. We could see a bounce down at 3,000. Keep an eye on that. If we lose that area, look for a break and retest short. 3,000 is key area over pre-market high to retest the top of that trend line. Let's just draw it back in again. I'll draw it in there. That's a bit tighter, and I can draw that trend line in there as well. This trend line like that. So you've got a few trend lines. This is a zone to watch. So for me, I like a bounce at 3,000. If we lose that area, break and retest short, we'll be breaking that major trend line down here. If we can get over pre-market high, over 3,010, 3,012, I like it for a long into yesterday's high. But this is looking good. Look at this, lower highs, and then I was going to say equal lows, but we are putting in a bit of a bear flag pattern. This pattern here, this is a classic pattern, and we're under that halfway, the midpoint. We talked about this in other sectors quite recently. I think, what was it now? Was it gold? Might be Bitcoin, where we saw it putting in. It might have been oil actually. And then we saw that half, we split it in half, where we saw it sitting in that bottom half more majorly. Then we saw it break out short. In fact, we saw it the other way around, but that's the general idea. We are more on the bottom side than we are on the top side. Doesn't mean that it's going to break down, it just means that there's a lot of activity happening on the bottom half of that trend line. So we are below this major point of control as well. So 3,000 is a key area on gold. Either we're going to hold it again. We held it there. We held it yesterday. But here's my opinion of levels. I think history repeats itself. It bounces, it bounces, it bounces, it bounces, it bounces 3 times yesterday. Maybe it bounced today as well. You know, it's a zone we're looking at. But how many times do you want to be knocking on that door before suddenly that door breaks open? So it will at some point crack, but when, I don't know. But let's just look for repeated patterns. YM was potentially putting in an inverse head and shoulders pattern, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, a break and retest of neckline. Technically it's still valid until we break that right shoulder, 53,200. So long over 53,600 will be a good long. Otherwise we can watch for a bounce down at 53,200. Notice where the volume shelf is to the left, massive big major area of confluence. So we're just below that area now. So let's see whether we get a reaction back into that 53,500 short, but I like it long over. Otherwise, this is an invalidated inverse head and shoulders pattern, and we're just going with the trend, which is lower low, lower high, lower low. Is that an equal high? Roughly an equal high. We haven't really, I suppose, slightly higher high, but we're back down below again. So let's see what happens, whether we are going to be broken that trend line already. Break over the pre-market low looks good for Dow Jones. And then finally Bitcoin, still got 5 minutes to go. Bitcoin's hovering around in this area, putting in a pretty bullish consolidation where we're holding that trend line. We're holding it, we're holding it, we're holding it. We are kind of putting in an equal top as well. So break and retest long over pre-market high over 81. We can keep an eye on 80 to 79 for a bounce. If we lose pre-market low, and yesterday's high, maybe we can retest yesterday's low. If we lose that, we might be changing trend. But still bullish on Bitcoin right now. I topped up a little bit yesterday as well on that pullback. So every week I have a little bit to it anyway. And it's occasion I add a bit more to it as and when. I was adding down here. And then when we break out, if we don't break out, I'll be taking some profit off and I'll be adding back in when we get back down to 64 again. That is pretty much everything. Let's take a look at some order flow. We're not doing a great deal down here. We just had that Cumulative Delta divergence. Remember I said I was watching that earlier? You can see it here. Price selling off. Cumulative Delta putting in a move up. We had that move here potentially. Was that 905? I think we spoke about it. 905 about here, wasn't it? And to be fair, had I taken that, I would have been a bit disappointed. It would have been a really tough long because we're just sitting there and just all that effort. That's why I like trading scalping on the first 15 minutes because it's a bit more volatile. But we are getting buyers coming in and sellers absorbing those buyers a little bit, but we are putting in potentially a bottom there, an inverse head and shoulders pattern on this 2 minute chart. Neckline is where we are right now, 77.15. Big orders today. We have got 76.90 above 148. So I meant 76.90 below, 76.50 below as well, 76.10, 7600. I'm not sure we get down there. 77.17, 77.46. We've got a big order sitting up there. That's outside of pre-market high. You can see it on my chart, that big red line. And that's it. Let's see where we are. So let's just analyze these footprint charts for a bit. Just make sure my copy is turned on, which it is. We had what I like looking at. It's not where the reversal coming into these areas, because this is what we're interested in. So we had negative delta, negative delta, negative delta, negative delta. Notice the lack of buyers on the ask, and then we had a big negative delta, and then is that ending volume on bigger volume as well, big contract, 2200 contracts on that candle. And then we had another negative delta, and then we had our first positive delta. This is what we're looking for on order flow. Negative, 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 negative. Then we had a divergence, a red candle. So we had a red candle like we had previously, but we had more aggressive buyers. So this is our turnaround here. This is when the market's saying, right, there's more buyers getting involved. But even though it's a red candle, sellers absorbed all that buying pressure. We had more aggressive buyers and sellers in that red candle. And then the buyers turned up on this candle, a bottom tail candle. Then you get the last bit of sellers who are defending their position. Lack of buyers up here, so buyers are not quite interested just yet. You know, if you're an institution, you're not going to buy, you don't know where the low is, so you're going to wait for something. Then we had buyers turn back up in this one. Sellers are trying to turn things around there as well, but there's lack of follow through and negative delta on the green candle. This is the first positive sign that buyers might be taking control. So green candle, buyers absorbed all this selling pressure, so basically that's seller absorption. And then our first big green candle, bottom tail candle. And then we had another big green candle here, or green delta, with a top of delta. Sellers tried to absorb that selling pressure. Lack of volume, so not a great area really. Let's see whether we can take that area out. Market opens right now. Buyers came in, hold it, and yeah, it's a bit neutral at the last few candles. Let's see what happened, and let's just go to the current area. So we're kind of holding this area. So looking a little bit more bullish down here because we've got not a great deal of sellers up here. Sellers, and then buyers came in. Yeah, even the buying activity is not great at the moment. Look at this delta, massive amount of buying coming in, but sellers absorbing all these buyers right now. So it's not a buy for me, even as a scalp, until we see buyers stop being absorbed by sellers. So small negative delta there, small positive delta, and then a big positive delta with lack of follow through. Look at all this aggressive selling up here. So these are limit orders being triggered right now. So sellers are now absorbed. Buyers, are buyers going to break out? I might be tempted for a long if I can get it into pre-market high. We're seeing higher highs and higher lows, so it does look good for a long right now. In fact, I'm going to wait for the first red candle. Here we go, this might be it, and then I'm looking for a breakout. Buyers are still here, so I'm not too worried about this little pullback. That's what we want to see, a pullback with buyers coming in. Sellers absorbing all this buying pressure at the moment. So the question is, do we put in a new low? Yeah, we have a new low, so that's an invalidated trade. Not interested in going long now. And that's why we don't jump in, we wait, and we wait for confirmation. There's no confirmation. And I only get in, now you know why I only get in on go long on a green candle and I go short on a red candle, because I'm not going to go long against the current price action. And how about that? That would have been so lots of aggressive buyers come in there with lack of follow through. If you have a big aggressive delta like that, 766, and then the next candle is a negative delta, then that is that's a selling delta flip. That's a delta flip, that is. And we had the indicator tell us that as well. So 95% probability it's going to be a sell data flip, which it was exactly spot on. Big aggressive selling coming off. We've now broken pre-market low, so, and we bounced off yesterday's high. Remember I said keep an eye on a bounce at yesterday's high? So it's a tough one. We've got pre-market low above, yesterday's high below. Potentially still like the long. I won't get in on 3 green candles. I'll wait for a little bit of a pullback. And look at this, we're right back up here again now. So our first negative delta, do we sell off or do we have to trade? Do we continue with the buy-in? Where did SPX open up? SPX opened, is right below 7,700 right now, so opened slightly above 7,710. So We do not want to be going long into 7700 on SPX. We want to see SPX be above that 77, pretty much where it is now. So tough long right now if you're looking at SPX. That's why we use SPX as a signal. Has to close over 7700, which we're not, we're below it. Which might be why we're stalling here. Remember, MES, ES follows the S&P 500. So that's why we always have to keep an eye on the S&P 500, because that's the master, that's the granddaddy. If that's not buying and that's selling off, then this is going to sell off with it. Now you know why I always talk about SPX. We had a lot of volume down here as well, increasing volume actually, until we got to the top. Look at all this buyers coming in, lots of buying pressure here, sellers absorbing all this buying. Got our first 5-minute candle in. I used to play the 5-minute ORB. I don't anymore because it gave me too many false signals. That's why I stick to the 15-minute ORB. So we got our first sign of buyers coming in. Big negative doubt on a green candle. So buyers absorbed all these sellers down here. And then buyers are waning here now. So not as many buyers coming in. What's NASDAQ doing? NASDAQ's at pre-market low. So we could be watching here for a potential break and retest of pre-market low. So we're kind of retesting 77.10 now. Negative delta. This looks good for a break and retest. Look at this aggressive selling coming in now. Look at the delta as well, aggressive sellers. So this could be a good break and retest of pre-market low. Just waiting for that confirmation. So we've got negative delta, positive delta, and a negative delta, and a big negative delta in this current candle. So it's definitely sellers here. Whether buyers absorb them or not, we'll find out. And then we've got a big order sitting at 77.10 as well, 552. You can see that on the right. You can see a big red mark on the chart as well. So that's liquidity. So buyers are buying into that selling liquidity. You see the big number at the top there, 77.10, 569 contracts. So I do quite like the short now. Look at that lack of sellers, selling imbalances. Lots of selling imbalances here. Big negative delta as well. We've broken and retested pre-market low. The only thing I don't like is seeing a green delta candle. Good morning, Mayo. Welcome back. Appreciate you tuning in. Here you go. Lack of buyers. Didn't put in a new high. So this could be we're waiting for that break and retest of pre-market low. Can we get down to 7700? We've got a bit of movement. We can get 20 ticks. We don't jump in. We don't rush into it. We wait for confirmation. If we break below 0650, I might look for the short below here. Negative delta. I want to see what happens if we break down below 7706. Buyers coming in here. I just want to see. I'm just watching the delta as well on this chart on the right, bottom right. I know we've got big orders sitting, so we've still got 556 orders sitting at 77.10. So it's absorbing this area at the moment. We're looking for exhaustion from buyers. So hopefully buyers are exhausted. We start seeing smaller buying deltas. Big buying delta there. Relatively big deltas here. It's pretty neutral at the moment. So it's a battle. But who's going to win? But right in that pre-market low, 77.10. Still got orders sitting at 77.10. You can see it on the time and sales as well. Keep coming in 77.10. And we keep rejecting. There you go, broken through it. 77.11 now. Let's just see where we go with this. We've broken that pivot there. We've broken that pivot there. We're putting in. Oh, yeah, I'm not a big fan because we put in a lower low there. Kind of, you could say this is a head and shoulders pattern. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. We've broken the neckline. We haven't really retested it. That's our neckline there. Maybe on a micro side, retest there, but no, not convinced. Lots of buying imbalances. So if we see buying imbalances with a big positive delta and we're not getting a follow through, then there's a lack of buyers. But if we get follow through and it pushes up, then we know there's buyers interest in that area. No trades for me, holding back. Not interested while we're sitting inside this pre-market range area here, inside the opening range as well. We're still inside that first 5 minute candle. Potential double bottom, but we never really looked like it wanted to break out, or it never really looked like it wanted to break down. Here we go, buying imbalances, big positive delta, looking good. Buyers look like they're in control now. Look at the delta now. Green, 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 green. Big buying deltas. So here we go. That's what we're looking for. Opening range high. What's the time? We've got 3 minutes left until we have set up our 15-minute orb. Negative delta, big volume. So that's 77.10. We've got buyers, sellers sitting down there, or buyers sitting down, shall I say. So we had a negative delta down on this pivot. Buyers pushed it back up, absorbed all that selling pressure. Then the next candle was a big buying delta. You can see the deltas are looking strong here. Watching for the ORB, which will be setting up in a few minutes. Well, not setting up, it will be confirmed in a few minutes. Oh wow, look at that. Did you see that? Boom, massive big move in the market. Look at that. All this, no reaction from buyers or sellers. So what do we get? We had a big buyer came in, some seller absorbed all this buying pressure here. A buyer tried pushing it up, but sellers said no. That big aggressive buying candle now. So we should, with that big aggressive buying delta, we should be seeing follow through now from buyers. So the ORB is now in place, by the way. So I don't take the break out of the ORB. I wait for a breaking candle to officially confirm. So the low of the ORB is a 77.02. The midpoint is 77.13. These are approximate numbers. And then the ORB high area is 77.23. So we've already broken the high of the orb. And if this candle, the current 5-minute candle, sets up on more volume, because it's opened above the orb, if it closes above the orb high, then it will be a valid candle. It has to have increased volume as well. So what I would do, where we only had 2 green candles in a row, we really want to see some equal green candle, equal or higher volume really. Look at this, price delta breaking out, price is breaking out. We said there were a lot of delta down here, a lot of buyers coming in, absorbing all that pressure. And then we're waiting for the winner of the battle, and the buyers were the winner. Lots of volume in this candle, almost 5,000 contracts in that 10 tick range, with a big negative delta as well. So maybe sellers are saying no, this is the end of your line, buyers. So if you're one of those breakout orb buyers, you're like sweating it now, thinking, damn, didn't work again. That's why we wait for confirmation. There was no confirmation for a short up here, by the way. Well, maybe we had signs of it. Negative deltas on green candles, negative delta, a red topping tail or a positive delta. We didn't have much follow through. We did break that trend. We have broken this trend now. Broken the 2-minute trend. It's pretty much going against the delta and the price, so I wouldn't be going short myself. The only place I liked today was that bounce at yesterday's high, which would have worked great. There was that down 77 and a psychological number. So I missed that trade, a bit annoyed. Even though I planned, I just missed it. I wasn't really thinking properly. I was just probably because I saw the break and retest of pre-market low, and I was kind of planning for a short from 77.10 down to 7700. And when all my brain went foggy, missed the obvious, the one I planned for as well, one I put in the market. Here we go. Let's go to my Discord. There you go. I even wrote about it as well. ES finally broke the daily range, but it's pulling back, so I'll be watching the previous range levels for reactions, see if it breaks out. ES 77,000 bounced to 7601, so that's the area I was watching for a bounce, and I missed it. So that's fine, you know, it doesn't matter if you miss it, there's always another opportunity. I'm not overly worried. You know, we might hit that 77. We didn't quite hit 7700. Remember yesterday I went short just below 7700, and then got the trade in decent trade, and then it came back, touched 77, and it sold off all day. Maybe something similar today. It teases you in. Anybody in gets out break even, and then it goes back. Don't forget news at 10:30. Natural gas, low volatility, so shouldn't really affect too much. We're back inside that 15-minute range, back inside that first 5-minute candle as well. So no trades at the moment for me. It's not a trading range for me at the moment. Nice reaction down there, big negative candle, and then followed by a positive candle, positive delta, buying imbalances as well. Potentially a bounce off the midpoint. We've broken that trend. This could be a long actually. Look at this, buying imbalances. I'm going to look for a long. I'm going to get in long now. Might have left it a bit too late. Just want to scalp a quick long. Sure if I actually. Doesn't really matter because I've not actually copied it to my account. I'm only in my sim. Keeps doing that. Every day I come in, every day I set it up to copy, and then it crashes. I reckon there's an issue with the copier. Copy all instruments. Sim. Okay, well I'll leave the demo run. I'll leave my what do you call it running. This is just my sim account, not my Apex copier. It didn't copy. Excuse me. But I like it long. I got stops at 10 and 20. I got my first target at 20. It says I'm up 2,500, but that's not right because I took ES on my demo. 20 contracts of ES. I didn't really take that. So it's not a real trade. It's a real trade, it's a real decision, a real entry. But on my copier, I've got it set to copy 1-to-1, but to MES rather than ES. So I'm kind of scaled down a bit. That'd be great if that was real profit. So I'll show you my copier. Yeah. So I've got my copiers, my account set up. There we go. That's target. So hopefully somebody took that with me and actually made money. And I've got it scaled, it's cross-sold. So I buy one ES, it buys one MES. And that's why I got 10. That's why I got 10 MES contracts. Look at that. Target, we're at break even. I'm going to keep my demo running, see where it goes. Probably come back and kick myself later. My next target's 40 ticks. Bit annoying, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm at break even. Whatever happens, I'm break even. So that's why I changed my strategy slightly. Instead of me taking a 10 tick, I'm looking for a 20 tick because I'm trying to maximize my winning days and minimize my losing days. I'm working on my stops as well. So I go to break even now at 20 ticks. That's my first target. So whatever happens, I guarantee 20 ticks if it's a winning trade. Anybody take that trade with me? This is doing really well. All that left me behind. Again, this is all down to patience. We didn't just jump in, we waited. We saw us hold in this area of confidence. We held the midpoint. I do look at the mid, that's why I have the midpoint marked up as well. And then we use order flow. We had lots of buying coming in, lack of selling delta, so it's very small selling candles. And then we saw that big turnaround down there, big 600, end of volume, buying imbalance. That's what did it for me, was seeing these buying imbalances and then seeing these buying balances again on a bottom tail. So that's the pullback I was waiting for, and it broke back out and I went long. I was a little bit late in. I wanted to get in a little bit earlier, around 17, but I got in at 18. Buying imbalance on the next candle, that gave me the confirmation. So even though my actual execution didn't work, my trade and the call out was spot on. And if we're looking for an exit, I like the pullback here. Only 70 delta. We had a pullback with smaller delta and a big delta, and then a negative delta. We're holding this selling candle at the moment. Let's see what happens. We've got buyers sitting on the ask here, but we haven't really broken through that area. You could wait for the break of this trend. If I draw the trend in, that could be your exit there on that last candle, especially when you have a negative candle, 5 aggressive buyers at the high on the ask. We've got this aligned point of control here, so this is an area to watch as well. It's probably going to tag me out. There you go. That's fully tagged out. The funny thing is, my sim has just decided to get me in, so let me get me out. Let's get out of that. So I've got it linked to my sim. I just flattened. I actually did make some profit. I made $70 out of that move. I forgot, because I didn't copy the account and I set it up afterwards, my Apex copier. My sim was still, I trade off my sim and it copies to my my Apex accounts. As you can see here, I trade off my leader accounts to sim and I copy it to all my different accounts. I've just got my eval set up today. These ones I'm trying to build up, the legacy ones. Okay, so I made something out of it. I made $70 per account. So I put that as a Brucey bonus, not one I'd take. You know, notice how I got out immediately when I realised I could have held it. Back in the old days, I'd be holding that thing. Oh, I'm in. I'm emotionally attached to that trade, and then it would have gone against me, as you can see now. So that's one of the things I talk about as well in my second playbook, what I'm writing. Emotional attachment to trades just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make, when you look back at it, it doesn't make sense. But when you're in a trade and you're emotionally attached to it, you know, you put all that time and effort into finding a really good setup. You put all that energy and all of that financial commitment into taking the setup as well. So you're emotionally attached to the setup and that trade before you've even taken it, before you click the buy button. So that's how that's why human emotion, I sounded like I was a robot then. That's why human emotion sucks. what I mean is that's why emotions in trading get the better of you. You know, you're already attached to that trade way before you've clicked the buy button because of the time and effort you put into it. And then once you're in it, you don't want it, you know, you're wired to not want to lose. And so you stay attached to it, and then you think, damn, it's gone against me. That's where you start adding to a losing trade, or you're moving your stop, because human beings are wired to not want to lose. And it's in nature. So that's why it's really hard. That's why trading is one of the toughest things I've done. Head and shoulders pattern here, by the way. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Maybe look for a pullback into that 77.18 area for a rejection. So look at that. I could have said, had I held on to my mistake, I would be doing really well right now. That little tiny move there made me almost $100. I'd be up like $500, $600 right now. But that's not the point. You don't want to have big profitable days on bad trades or happy mistakes. That's not how you build good process or good mentality. Like I said, in the olden days, I'd be hanging on to this. Right now, I'd be well happy because I would have been up. You know, I got in by mistake. I shorted by mistake here when I shouldn't have shorted. I would have been up $500-$600. I'll be holding. Oh, maybe I can hit 1,000, or maybe I can hit 1,500. Maybe I can hit 2,000. And it goes against me. I'd probably add a little bit. Oh yeah, no, it's just going in my direction. It looks like a short. That's another key word. Not this is my setup. Or it looks like it could be a short. And then it goes against me. Then suddenly I'm down $4,000, $5,000. Thinking, shit, why don't I just come out of that trade when I first got into it? All that emotional strain and stress and effort for something which you weren't even committed to in the first place. It was a mistake. And I'm pretty sure there's a few people here right now nodding their heads saying, yeah, I've been there. If you want to say yes in the comments, then I know. But we've all been there. I've been there. I still get there sometimes, so it happens. So trading's now 99% trading is mentality and controlling emotions. That 1% of just controlling, that 1% of taking the trade, finding the trade is easy. It's just controlling the emotions in the trade, or before the trade and after the trade. You know, you can say, what happens after a trade? You just lost. What do you do? Jump into the next trade with no setup in mind, with no without no thought whether it's part of your plan. You want to make up that loss. So what do? You add to it, or you double your size because you just lost $100. So you go, I'm gonna risk $200 to make that back. See, Mayo, thank you. I appreciate your honesty. Me, I'll just put yes, 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 yes. I've been there so many times, and it still bites me sometimes. I still, you know, you got this urge to not want to lose. You have this urge in the back of your mind. Just, you know, what's that film? You know, Venom. Have you seen Venom? The Marvel superhero. The guy's got that venom inside his head. It's like that sometimes. That's trading. That is a trader basically, but made for Marvel. If you haven't seen Venom, watch it. You'll know exactly where I'm coming from. Well, I'm not too interested in what's going on right now. We're smack bang inside that opening range, that 15-minute range. We're smack bang inside that first. We're inside that first 5-minute candle. We are, yeah. So for me, there's no trades. Not interested in any of this. Make a screenshot. 1 second, I'll just right, 1 second. So I just distracted with a few other stuff I'm doing. Right, I'm back. So I just noticed my chart slowed right down, and so I'm just taking a snapshot of my system, my processor, my RAM, everything, because I have this little annoying bug. I got a feeling it could be a hardware issue. I had a blue screen the other day on this machine, so I reckon a lot of my issues have been down to maybe I might just need to swap out memory or RAM. So one of my next jobs, I was going to do a complete wipe and reinstall of my computer, and it's long overdue. I reset NinjaTrader, and that hasn't really fixed it. So it's not a NinjaTrader or a chart issue. It's got to be a hardware issue. And like on my screen now, you can see my data is delayed. My market data is delayed by 450 seconds. In fact, it could also be down to Rhythmic. But if I go into my broker, Apex, disconnect, and go back into it and reconnect, it usually fixes it. So it's definitely down to data, but it's data being processed, and I'm not sure whether it's a bottleneck in my system. Here you go. Now you see, now I've disconnected it. There's no live data coming in from Apex, and my chart's gone mad. It's catching up. You can see the seconds are counting down. It was 480, 420, 415, 420, and then it will count down back to 0. That's the buffer. It creates a buffer of all the data, and so I know it's not my code. My code's pretty solid, pretty decent. It's definitely the data coming in from Apex, or it's probably something coming in through Rhythmic, and then it's probably Rhythmic data. So okay, then now the cache is now caught up. So now I'm going to reconnect to Apex, or Rhythmic, should I say. I might try a different data stream, because I've got a multi-broker NinjaTrader account. So I might even just connect to another data stream and then just copy to my Apex accounts anyway. That's not a bad test. And I'm rambling out loud now. But when the market's smack bang inside its range, it's not very exciting to trade. But on my NASDAQ and ES 24/7 stream, I never have any issues ever. That just runs solidly. That's running literally 24/7, 7 days a week. And you know, apart from the hour when the market shuts down, I don't even restart the machine. It's a little tiny machine, no bigger than the size of the palm of my hand. It's running off, so that's running footprints and everything. So I know it's definitely not my code. It's definitely not. Don't think it's NinjaTrader. It's got to be a hardware issue or something, or a data rhythmic issue. Turn on connected. That's the thing, if you use your main PC for video editing, coding, development, programming, trading, you'll have these little tiny doubts in your mind. One little, which one is it was causing the issues? It's a really decent machine. I've got like almost 100 gigs of RAM. It's an i9 processor with 16 threads, 8 core. So I've got a fastest M.2 SSD drive, so it's not down to, not pretty much hardware, unless it's a faulty bit of hardware. So here you go, we've done nothing for the last few minutes. It's live again. So now I just reset Apex. The data's coming in live again. Strange. I don't think I'm going to be taking any trades today. It might be a no trade day. I'll take my happy mistake. Well, it's sitting in this range. Look at this low. Look, 5 minute volumes declining. Price is going sideways. So what does that mean? It means we've got a lack of interest from buyers and sellers right now. Narrow candles compared to the previous candles. You know, I'm not a big fan of going short into 7,700. I do like the long. I like to see it come back down to 7,700 for a bounce. Maybe we can watch for the breakout of ORB over 77.23. NASDAQ's the same as well. NASDAQ's slightly showing a slightly bit more strength. Right, I'm going to go and grab some water, so I will be back. And I'm back, expecting the market to have a massive big sell-off while I was gone, but it didn't happen. Interesting, we didn't put in a new high pivot there. Has anybody taken any trades today? King Me says, great day, guys. Good. How have you got on today, King Me? Hold in that zone. There could be a bit of a divergence play here. You can't really see it easily. Could hold in that zone there, but look, price. It's a slight divert. Literally a very slight divergence. You know, you have to squint just to see it. But you can see a big divergence when you zoom out. Look at this, we've got price clearly putting in higher highs. To be fair, hasn't put in a new high there. It's doing the same as that. But that's the divergence here. But it would have been a tough one. That's that news candle. Was that news candle? That's the open I meant. Yeah, it would have been a really tough one to take. So Craig says down 143. That's all right. As long as you manage your risk and you don't feel the need to make it back, and just wait until the next valid trade comes along. Okay, so King Me, let me just digest your question. For new ORB setups, which scheduled events beyond CPI, FOMC and NFP do you consider high impact? And how many minutes before and after each event should I avoid taking a new orb trade? Obviously, my answer to that would be based on your own back testing. That's an easy cop-out answer. For me, FOMC won't affect me because I don't take any orb setups outside the first 2 hours of the day. So I'm looking until about midday. FOMC is at 2 p.m. So that won't affect me. CPI is 8:30 in the morning. Again, generally market would have settled down by then, but you generally get an idea on the opening which direction the market's heading. CPI, big green candle, a little bit of a pullback. Maybe you can use CPI candle as a key level, you know, to get some risk reward to break. If you're like midway, 50% of that CPI candle. Again, you need to back test that. Just go back and look at all of the news events, and then only the main ones, and then just see how the ORBs worked afterwards. Like I said, FOMC doesn't affect me, and non-farm payrolls, which is that one? Is that a Friday? I can't remember what day. That's the 10 o'clock one. I would never ever take an ORB into a news event, basically. So if there's a news event coming in at 10 a.m. and we got an ORB setting up, I would avoid taking. That's me personally. I won't take the ORB. But then that's the good thing about the ORB, and as you find out from your ORB playbook you've got, if you miss the original entry, have a look. I can't remember what page it's on. Look at the break and retest of the orb. You got another chance, another stab of it. basically. So that's why it's really versatile. And then you can build a strategy based on the ORB line. So on my screen right now, you can see the white lines. That's the ORB low and ORB high. You might want to see later on it break out, and then maybe later on in the afternoon session it comes back and retests the ORB high area. You could build a strategy around that. Again, you need to back test it. So we've got an ORB breaking candle right now. If we continue to break out, we have lowering volume coming down into that area. So potentially all we need is we don't need much of a volume in this candle for us to have a higher volume than the previous candles. So this will be the breakout candle if it sets up right now. So let's just see what happens. Notice on my chart I've got that green line going down it. That's just reminding me there's a news event coming up in the next 15 minutes, next 10 minutes. But then we know that's a non-volatile, that's natural gas. You are welcome, King Me. As I say to everyone, back test it. I've got my new strategy. Not new strategy. It's not new until I back tested the one where I just adjusted my stops a little bit. So today I'm going to export all my NinjaTrader trades into AI. I'm going to get AI to analyze all of my NinjaTrader trades, and then I need to try and find a way to get it to look at order flow. So that's one of my projects. I do have an order flow website I built. Hang on. And eventually it's going to be a journal. It's going to be an order flow journal as well. So it'd be like an equivalent to TradeZella, but instead of just candlestick charts, you get to see order flow. Let me find it. I've not used it for a while, but I've been using it. Footprint IQ. And then just load it. Okay, I'm just keeping an eye on this breakout at the moment. What have we got? We've got 2 minutes. So I won't do anything until it sets up formally anyway. But here we go. This is my database, my Footprint IQ database. So all of my screenshots I take, you probably see me taking lots of screenshots. I put it into my database. Then I go onto my trend analyzer. I look for reversals, continuations, repeatable patterns, a custom AI. I use AI to analyze all my charts, and then I can upload any which I've got right now as well. And then I go into one of my screenshots. So this is, I can pop it out so I can zoom in and see what's going on. And then I've got my analysis of it as well. And I use this to identify trends. But what I want to do is get live analysis. That's my next job. So this does analysis of my screenshots, but I want to feed in my NinjaTrader into it so that my NinjaTrader will create a live analysis of all my trades. And then I want to build in my journal databases, my journal into it as well, so I can then journal footprint charts, which you don't get anywhere else. So I'm working on that at the moment, which is pretty cool. I've got loads of projects I'm working on. So look at that, we didn't break out. Higher volume. How long we got left? 10 seconds. This could be an official breaking candle. It's with the trend, it's with the breakout. So now it's an official breaking candle. Both on NASDAQ and ES, official breaking candles. So I'm going to put my order in one tick above. So buy stop market 10. it says 10 ES, but it's actually going to convert to 10 MES contracts. So that's my stop in, that's my order in place. My stop will be 77.21.75, 1 tick or 2 ticks below the breaking candle. My entry is 1 tick above the breaking candle, so I don't just get whipped in and out. 77.27.75. There you go. So I've got my stop, but I won't put my stop in until I've entered. So I'll take that out for now because I don't want to be triggered into my stop if it pulls back on me without entering into my breakout. So looking at order flow, so this is a mechanical trade on the orb. We've got this little flag breakout as well, so it looks good for a long. We've got decline in volume, we're going sideways, increased volume on the breaking candle. Not a massive amount of increased volume, but it's got some volume. Order flow, we've got buying delta in our direction as well, so that looks good. What else? Let's look at these. So we've got some failed selling delta flips, which is a good sign. Another selling delta flip. And this is a good sign for a breakout as well. Look at this, hardly any selling deltas up in this area. So we know buyers are interested up here. Sellers absorbing at the moment, but we're about to be triggered in. Buying pressure. Not a big fan on that last candle, 51 delta, but lots of volume. Look at this, we've got volume on breakout. If we have a big volume candle breakout now, then that'll be, hopefully we get the momentum we want. So I'm not triggered in yet. Here we go, now we're triggered in. I'm now long 10 MES contracts. My stop 77.21.75. So my stop's in place, that's the most important thing. Just make sure my orders are in place. Yeah, I've got 10 MES contracts long. So pre-market high. Sorry, I forgot to mention about targets as well. My first target will be pre-market high, and I'm going to take off 50%. So that'll be 5. Just below sell limit. So I've got sell limit of pre-market high. I'm expecting a reaction at that point, hence why I want to take some off. Then I'll go to break even. And then we could look for an add later as well. A break and retest of pre-market high goes with our plan as well. So Craig says he's green now, good for you. Don't over trade. If you need to walk away, walk away. I won't be offended if you need to not watch me anymore. But good. So let's see some momentum. We want to see some momentum. We've got 5,000 contracts, the most amount of contracts I've seen today so far in this breaking candle, which is good. We just want to see it follow through. Buying deltas are coming through. I'm sitting right at the break even. That's fine, just let it settle down. We've got quite a narrow stop. We can easily get 1.5R out of this. What's the target on trading view? My algos. So I'm triggered in both ES and NASDAQ. So it looks like it's going for a 77.38. So it's going for a 2R target. That's a 1.5R. Because it's treating it as an inside ranging day. And then NASDAQ is literally looking for the high of the pre-market. Pre-market high as a target. And again, that's 1.5R. Pretty sure if I were to draw it in. So I don't even need to look at my charts now because I've got my stops and everything in place. That's my entry there. That's my stop. Yeah, so 2R. That's what the algo's going for. Why is it a 2R? Oh, because it's a breaking out day, sorry. So let's go for a 2R target or 1.5. 1.5 is reserved for inside or inside days. So let's go for a 2R target, the algo. I should know I wrote it. I've forgotten what I got it set to do. Here you go. So these are my settings here. So on an inside day, it looks at 1.5R. On a range day, it's 2R. And on a trend day, it looks for 3R. So that's my target set there. That's what I'm going for. That's the algo. I want to try and get AI more involved with these algos as well, and make it a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Intelligent. At the moment, it's just based on my rules, my ORB rules. Ah, there you go, we stopped. As easy as it was in, we got out. That's a bit disappointing. But it is what it is. A failed ORB breakout. It literally just whipped me out one tick below. And there you go. Didn't last long. I like the long. We had lots of aggressive buying coming in. We had buyers at the high, although it's a red candle. Sellers absorbed. More buyers with no follow through. I suppose that's the warning signs there. Buyers came back and then they didn't. Okay, so there you go. Quickest ORB ever. I've had worse. I've been in and out quicker. You could technically say this is a break and retest of ORB as well, because we had a little bit. There's a little bit of an air gap, not much. You can just about see a little bit of an air gap underneath that bottom tail. But that's fine. You know, these trades are back tested, and even you may stop a few times, but my back testing says that is a profitable strategy as long as you stick to your rules. And this is me sticking to my rules. I didn't move my stop, didn't move my target, but I used a psychological number as a target, pre-market high. And on that note, I'm probably going to call it a day. That's my one and only trade, one losing trade. I'm not going to get involved in the market. It's just really tough. It's sitting back inside that range, just holding that range now. Look at that. All these buyers came in. There's some, the moment we take our ORB out, breakout with confirmations as well. The first red big candle we've had all day. We haven't had a big red delta candle like that since yesterday. That's the biggest red delta candle we've had, and it's the moment we wait with patience to get in. It's called Sod's Law. And that's Sod's Law. Right, I'm going to call it a day. I was hoping to end it on a green day, but I'm down about $200 now. So that's about a $250 loss that trade. But that's fine. I've got loads of excess ready for another day. And not over trading. When market's doing this and it's slow, it's just good to reserve the accounts. So I will be back tomorrow at 9 AM Eastern time for the pre-market prep. And then for the live trading afterwards. Tomorrow's Friday, last day of the week, so let's hopefully have a good day. And I will see you tomorrow. So I appreciate everybody watching. Any questions, give me a shout, jump onto the Discord. Just making sure there's no more comments. Nope. Craig says he's green now, which is good. That's really good. And I will see you tomorrow. So appreciate everyone. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Kingman, Craig, Mayo. And trade safe. A+ setups only. Look, this is going to work now. This is the break and retest of orb as well. So this is a secondary one. If you missed the original one, this is a secondary entry. Do I like it? Not many aggressive sellers. More aggressive buyers come in. More aggressive buyers on this candle. Yeah, maybe. But I'm not trading. Now this is me done. Keep an eye on the big numbers above. We got 77.28 by the looks of it. Some big orders sitting there. Exactly where we rejected. Okay. Thank you. Have a good one. And I'll see you tomorrow.